Hey everybody, it's JR. Welcome to Snapshot Stories. We're on episode 2. And I have a very special guest today. This is Keirstin Proud. We met a few years ago, and I was just opening my photography business when we first met, and I was doing children's photos. And I had a great backdrop with the magic house from the movie Encanto. And we were doing photo shoots, and she was nice enough to bring her daughter with some friends of hers and do some of the photos with us. So I'm very excited to actually come back and visit with her because it's been a couple years since we've seen each other. And we also know each other through other people too, that we are friends with as well, like Rachel Covell. Yeah. And you actually work on her team.
I do. Yes.
For doing content and stuff for her business. So it's like we're one big happy family in St. Petersburg, which is always exciting. Yeah, and it makes me feel like I have a connection to people finally after being here in St. Pete for 4 years now. It's kind of now I have a family of people and a connection with people, so it makes me.
I feel the same way. I've been here about 7.
Yeah. And you're also a photographer, which is exciting. So we really don't compete against each other because I do more of the events, and I'm really getting into a lot of like the youth sports photography, and the school photography, and the conventions because I did convention last year for Rachel. So I'm really getting more into that event and volume side, whereas you tend to do a little more weddings. Some portrait, nature. So it's exciting that you can, talk about photography as well, which is always good. I like that we have that connection. So, all right. So, Keirstin, other than just being a photographer, you also have another business. So, which one would you say is your main business? Are they equal or are they?
I think it's all kind of equal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
my main income, I guess you can say, source is working for Rachel Covell.
Gotcha.
On Outcoast. And I dabble on the side with photography, working with simple weddings. And then I do a lot of coaching. I had to, I kind of put it on back burner for a couple years because of some personal family stuff that I had to deal with, and I'm just now getting back into it. Yeah. So Lifes Magick is all about soul coaching. So, and I do hypnotherapy. So it's really about going deep and really helping people out because I'm a trauma-informed coach. So we go and figure out the root cause of people's struggles.
So where did you come up with the name Lifes Magick?
Oh.
I was on your website, so I was like, I have all these questions. Because I might need some hypnotherapy at some point.
Seriously, hypnotherapy. So, backstory on all that. In 2011, I tried to commit suicide. And I lived, thankfully. I'm here. And ever since then, I put it like in my mind that, okay, well, I'm here. I'm here for a reason because I should not be. And what am I going to do with it? So it's been like this constant journey to help heal myself so that I can help heal other people with depression and suicide and get into the root cause of traumas. And why do people have depression? Well, it's usually stemmed to trauma. So, so Life's Magick was all about trying to find life's magic. So really finding the magic around your life is
trying to find a spark.
Really getting that back because we're not born that way, right? We were born with the spark already. We're born to be loved. We're born to shine. It's all the crap that comes before, during our childhood and throughout life that it, gets heavy and we're not able to move through it. And I mean, society, religion, all of those, depending on how your upbringing was, really like molds on who you are and become as an adult.
I agree.
And then, here there's people, once you get like 25 to 45, sometimes 60, you have this like, wait a second, what am I doing with my life?
I won't say how old I'm going to be this year, but it does end in a 0. So, I don't want to let anybody know how really old I'm getting, but, I'm actually yesterday, I was sitting there thinking, why am I doing this? Like, and every now and then I think we all get that inner reflection.
Yeah.
On like, why am I doing this? And
what is it I'm doing?
because I had a headshot and she just wasn't happy with anything I could do. And I was just like, it's like the first time someone's really had an issue with my headshot. And I was just trying to tweak it and everything. Everything I did, I just couldn't get it there. Yeah. So at the end of the day, I was like, why am I bothering? Why am I doing
Why am I here?
Why? And I know my reason why I do what I do. But it was just like you said, you get to that, like you just get kind of frustrated, or you get like, maybe I'm not good enough, maybe.
Yeah.
Right. So. Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned that all happened yesterday, and I'm just like, because I like to consider myself a pretty good photographer, and I've seen your work, and you're a great photographer too, but there are just those days where you feel like you just can't get that perfect.
I think that was my last week. It's been my last week.
and it can be very frustrating. And then sometimes you wonder, like, maybe I should just move away or
Right.
find a new job or do something that's more stable. So.
Right.
I know.
But then you're not happy because.
Right, exactly.
Right, because you're stuck in that box. Right?
I found more freedom for myself doing photography on my own than I have doing it for other people.
Yeah.
So.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now when you're doing... I've seen some of the photos you sent me, which we're going to go over in a little bit. So you have different techniques.
Yeah.
Hypnosis is obviously one of them.
Yes.
So what other types of tools do you use when you work?
So different modalities that I have, it really varies on the person and what they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
One of the main ones that I do is hypnotherapy. The thing is hypnotherapy. That I do because I like to get to the root of things, and really help people figure out where their struggle starts. Because then it's like, okay, once you get that knowledge of everything, right, then it's like, oh, well, that's where it's coming from. Oh, well, that's where that's coming from. Oh, so it's like you become this aware being, I guess, in a sense, where you're able to see your crap. Right? Like you go out and you say something, you're like, oh, wow, that sounds like my mother. Or,
That happens more like my father.
Or
my
like
God,
your father. Or man, that self-doubt that I am having, where is that coming from? Right?
What I find interesting is, like you mentioned, mothers and fathers. Like, when I was a little kid, you don't know any different.
Yeah.
You're just kind of going through life as a kid. But when you get older and you become the same age that your parents were, and you start seeing how they were back then and a reality, I was like, oh my God, am I like that? Or, am I carrying that with me? Or so there's just got to let it go. So,
right.
And I'm so different from my father. We're totally opposite in certain things. Yeah. But we're also the same in certain ways too, like our entrepreneurial spirit. Yeah. He tried so many different businesses. He was always trying to find a way to improve himself or make better for his family. And I'm always like, oh, what can I do better? I always got that entrepreneurial side. So I feel like that's a great thing, but other parts I don't want to have to deal with. So there's certain things I don't want to talk about with him. But it's really intriguing. I find that I was never a big believer in talking to a therapist or going to someone like a life coach or something like that. But as I've gotten older, I've seen how that has helped other people. Sometimes you just need someone to talk to.
Yeah.
Who's just not going to go out and blab all your stuff all over the internet or something,
Right, yeah. I mean, mine isn't quite like therapy because we really spend time understanding the root and getting down deep in a different way. I've had therapy for many years throughout my life because of my depression and everything. And there was always something missing. So that's why I kept on searching for that thing that worked for me. And the one thing that worked for me that really, really worked, especially because I had a lot of PTSD, was hypnotherapy.
Did you write a book too?
I did.
You did? I just saw that on your website.
It was a happy mistake, one of those. I wrote it for, I started writing, we did I did a event, and I was writing a guide for the event. And it just kept on going and going and going, and it became 100 pages.
Wow.
It was supposed to only be 10. And I was like, wow, okay, it just meant to be into. So I I just was going to do it as a PDF. And then I had a few of my clients be like, well, I don't do I don't do well in digital. Do you have it in print?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, you're more than happy to print it out. Yeah, but I don't have a printer. So I'm like, all right, fine. So
then all of a sudden,
long story short,
I'm on the bestseller list. There you go.
I don't really promote it in that way because it's, I feel like digitally is more, it actually is
more accessible.
Yeah, more accessible.
Especially these days.
Yeah, exactly. But I do have it out there.
So when you wrote the book, and you're thinking, oh, what am I going to use for my author photo? Who did you have a photo on, like an author photo, or?
Yes, I did, and believe it or not, it was my own.
So you did a selfie one?
I did a selfie one. Being a photographer. Yeah. It was easier to just at the time because I needed it quickly. It was one of those moments where you just, as a photographer, you're like, I need a quick photo. Let me just take a selfie. But I mean, for my website and stuff, I do use a professional photographer.
Absolutely.
It's very important. And to get people to really understand who you are, what you share yourself with the world, and finding the right photographer, right, who's going to be able to do that for you.
It's about, and I did a video a couple of weeks ago, 10 tips on finding a photographer that's perfect for you, or that's going to capture your. Tip 10 was making a connection with the photographer, which is really because you don't want to have. It doesn't matter, wedding, family, convention, events, whatever. Is just having that open communication with your photographer. Make that you kind of want a little personal because these pictures are pretty personal sometimes.
Yeah,
and it's very important to make that connection.
Yeah, I think with a holistic business, especially, right? Because I mean, you're not just selling a product, right? You're selling an experience, and when you're selling an experience, I feel like it's better to have a connection with someone who understands your experience,
absolutely.
Right? So yes.
Oh yes, and I'm always interested in that connection because oftentimes, you'll probably know from that a lot of people are just looking for quick and cheap photos sometimes. And you don't get an opportunity to make that personal connection with the photographer, like with mini sessions. I'm not sure if you're doing minis or not.
No, I stay away from
I stay away, and I have a whole video on why I don't do minis. I have a whole video why I do not promote minis. And I'm not saying minis are a bad thing.
Right. I mean, that's for other people.
For the moment that it's in, but think about it, you have 10 minutes with that one photographer. You have no way to get to know that person or get to know that family or what makes them gel or and then everybody's pictures all look the same anyways because they only have 10 minutes. They do
pretty
the same
much,
pose.
Same poses, same everything. Yeah, it's not very personalized.
And unless, sometimes I don't classify minis, but if I'm doing a fundraiser like puppies or something, they're short and quick, but it's not a mini session. It's more of like, oh, we print the picture right there, they go off with it, they're done, kind of thing. Good. I didn't know about the suicide thing. Yeah. Recording. But thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it. And that maybe that will connect with somebody.
Well, that's my whole thing with my business is that I'm very open book because my life has been full of lots of things. So
Keirstin, tell me about, I'm with the world of photography, since you're a photographer as well, it's really about connecting with your clients and giving them, you call it a memory or a moment. Yeah. How would you say?
Memory is like that. I mean, that's ultimately what I think photography is about, right? Even with a business aspect, right? You're bringing an experience of not just for the family's memories, right? For a business sense, it's your essence, right? At least would be the hope, right? In photography,
well, you're trying to convey what you do to somebody. How do you do that in a picture, right?
Right, exactly. Especially if you're not selling a product,
right?
Like that to me is the hardest thing, right? It's not a product, but even the products have stories, right? They're creating a story within the product so that people can connect to it because it's all about connection.
True, yeah. And that's even with photography. It's a product, but it starts off as an intangible product because you don't know what it's going to come out like. Yeah. until you actually see the photos,
Right.
and then you finally get that tangible product with the image.
Yeah.
Or if you're bold enough to actually get a print, hang it on your wall, which is what I really think photography is missing these days. People don't really print their photos and hold them in their hands.
As much, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
you don't have film.
Yeah, and oftentimes, like we talked about the minis, they'll get 40, 50 pictures, but those pictures just stay on their phone. They don't go anywhere. Nobody looks at them.
Oh,
And,
you'd be surprised. Moms look
You
at
think
them
so?
often.
We look at all. So, so to me, part of my business model too is, with families or whatever, is my goal in a session is to make sure I have one photo in that whole session that they're going to want to print
Right.
and hang on the wall. So if I can achieve that, this is for the one photo, just that one photo they want to be proud of and hang, then I think I accomplished my job.
That's how I feel as well,
Mhm.
in the same sense of like, if I get them that one or two photos
Mhm.
that they can put on the wall. I mean, bridal, same
Yep.
thing, I mean, with bridal and family portraits, those are very similar in an aspect of that, right? Because it's a memory
Right.
for them and connection for them of a moment, right, in time. And I remember growing up my mom had all our photos up, our family photos
Yeah,
up
we
on the
did too.
wall.
Yeah.
So for me, it's the same aspect, like how can I bring this, what can I bring for them so that they can share this moment and it be displayed on their wall so that everybody can enjoy it throughout their life.
Yeah, and a few years ago, a good friend of mine passed. She was 91. And I had become friends with her son and their family, for a good 10 years, and she passed. And they were like, "Oh, would you mind making the memorial photo slideshow?" And I did. And I went over to their house one day. We just went through all her photos. She came out with the old photo album of her wedding from the early 1950s.
Right.
And these were cardboard photos. They weren't just like paper.
Right.
They were heavy duty.
Yeah.
And we picked the one with her and her husband who had passed many years before. So we put that one in the slideshow from the 1950s. And then there was one with her mom and her dad and with her husband's mom, all six of them. So we made sure that one got into the. So, going back, it's like I say, one of the reasons I do what I do with photos is because, me and my grandma were very close. And I don't have one photo of me and my grandmother together. Aww. So, I have pictures of me and I have pictures of her. I could Photoshop them together, but it wouldn't be quite the same.
Yeah.
And so, I don't really have that. But, when you're growing up, you get into your life, you go off, and the next thing you know, someone's gone. So make sure you get that photo.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
And I mean, as you know, I shared a photo with you of me and my sisters that my grandmother on my mom's side took. And she was like that person. No matter if they were good photos or not.
Okay, I'm going to bring up that photo right because I've got it in here.
Yes.
So we'll get the crying part over with first. There we go. So there's the because you said you might cry.
I might
during
cry.
this part.
Yes. Well, yes. It's sentimental, and I think that comes to our point, right? Of the memories that photos can bring.
So your grandmother took this.
My grandmother took the photo.
Nice.
And she likes to date them and put who's in the photo,
Yeah.
and they were then in all the albums.
I can tell it's like the late 80s, early 90s because of the
It's
clothing.
1990. Yeah.
That transition.
Yeah. And it's a picture of me with my two sisters, and
So you're the middle.
I am the middle. Yes. And it's in her basement. So that's the other thing is that, the photo didn't just bring, it wasn't just, oh yeah, it's my sisters and we're this age, but it's an experience because I know, when they pass, right, is whenever it like really
hits you.
Yeah, because it's like that experience of the memory. Oh, I remember that. I remember that space. I remember playing down there in their basement because that's the basement. And
was it a
that was
around
for Easter.
Easter, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, what's in Christmas outfits?
Yeah, no, those are Easter. For Easter, we used to dress up and every Easter. So it was so the photo and it always then the floods of memories brings back memories, right? Of my grandmother and her little quirkiness of it. My mom now has those, but in a backstory is that my grandmother was passing, and I got to spend time before I came down here with them, and I lived. She was in a nursing home, and So I stayed with my grandfather in that home for like 3 weeks before I came down here. And he was like, I don't know what to do with these. Like, he had no respect
For the photos.
or anything. And I'm like, well, you're not throwing them away.
No, because you met the moment something goes, you're going to want those photos.
Right.
Yeah,
so
you are.
I had like, my car was already packed because I was moving down here. And I was like, I don't care. I'll make sure I find a way to pack them in my car so that I can bring them down to my mom.
Did you ever digitize them all?
We haven't yet. I would like to eventually to get them all digitized. Because
during the pandemic, we're all sitting at home by ourselves with nothing going on. I actually went on Office Depot and ordered a scanner, and it got to me, and I spent like 2 months scanning all my photos. Yeah, there was nothing else to do. Nobody was working. We're sitting at home.
I was, but
You know,
I work from home. So.
Well, me too. I was stuck, but I was. What a great time to just sit there and scan all these photos, and then you're living through the memories all over again. You know.
I mean, I did take a few, and like this one, I took pictures of certain ones before I left to show my mom and to share. So I do have some digital. By that, me taking a picture of them, picture of a picture. So photos are important.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
great that your grandmother took that. No.
Yeah, she wasn't the best photographer.
Well, you know,
but
it probably was a little Instamatic camera too, or something. Or was it a real camera? Or was it?
It's a film. Back then, everything was film. So
probably before your time, but like I think my first camera was a 110 camera. It was long and thin.
Oh,
it had a little turn cube on top.
My dad is also a photographer, so he used to collect. So I've seen a lot of them. Yeah.
And I remember when Star Wars came out, I had my little 110 camera, and I put my little Star Wars figures in the bushes. I was like 12 or 13.
Yeah, that's great.
Taking pictures.
Yeah, creating a story, right?
So,
yeah.
All right. Well, so I'm going to go through the photos you sent me. Now, this one here is you and your daughter Willow. So tell us like why this photo.
Well, it's honestly, I think the first professional that I've gotten of her and I as a family photo. I've always just taken them myself.
Yep.
And I'm usually the one just taking pictures of her. But I was like, no, that's it. I'm gonna do it this year. And I don't want anything to do with it yet. The creation of
No,
them.
just let someone else handle it.
Yeah. Though I can be a perfectionist and, I'm like, oh, but...
You have to learn to let it go.
Yeah, you do.
And it's funny because like I try to do my morning walks every day, and I'm on the pier downtown, and I'll be walking down, I'll be doing my little disco walk or whatever, and then there'll be a dad trying to take pictures with the family, and I will stop and tell Dad...
I do the same thing.
Because I want Dad to be in the picture.
Yes.
But this year I'm getting new business cards. And I'm going to actually hand him a business card after I take the picture.
That's a great idea.
So so that's going to be my kind of a marketing thing now. I think so. I'll take the picture. Here's my card. If you ever want pictures, call me.
Yeah.
So
that's great. Because I'm the same way. No matter where we are, I was at the zoo. I think we were at the zoo for Christmas, and this like family was trying to take a picture, of their kids and all that stuff, and they were taking turns. Right? And I'm like, whoa, stop! You need to be in the picture together. I don't ever mention that I'm a professional until
I do
after
every
the
single
fact.
time. I usually just remember I charge $150 an hour, and here's my card. So
That's what
and they just look at me and they go, oh, okay.
If you're here in the area.
Yeah. So. I love that picture though. She's like just like cuddling into you.
Yeah, and that's why it's my favorite photo of her and I is the connection and that she's very lovey and cuddly. So it was a good picture in that aspect, and I just like how it was framed as well.
Yeah, because she had the whoever did they have the maybe it was an arbor. Yeah. So
it's at the Florida Botanical Gardens.
Okay. Oh, so that's right up.
It's the wedding. Yeah, it's the it's in the wedding area.
I love that park.
Oh,
It's such a beautiful.
I love
to do
photos there.
Take more photos there.
Yeah.
Just,
it's great for headshots, by the way.
See, I do all my headshots in here. The white backdrop comes out. They sit up here and done. It's like
Well, it's like I'm a natural photographer, so I like the nature behind everything, and they have it's every year round. There's something.
All right, let's talk about now in your business.
Yes.
Let's talk about your business photos. So I know it's a little small on the screen here, but so I see here you have
Crystal bowls.
bowls in front of you.
Yes.
So when you're doing your bowls, what is happening? And by the way, I love the colors.
Yeah, I know.
I thought the colors made a great photo because it pops.
Yes.
And I'm about vibrant photos.
So am I. Yeah. My daughter loves, her favorite color is rainbow.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of just getting the clear ones, I got the rainbow ones. Also, on top of that, to help her learn how to use them.
Gotcha.
Because it's all the chakras. So it's the colors of the chakras. Mm-hmm. Each bowl is connected to the sound of the chakra. So that actually picture was taken, I was doing a photo shoot for some other people, mm-hmm. for myself, but for a holistic photo shoot for someone else, for myself, but with other people. And I was like, can you just happen to take a few pictures of me while I'm doing this? And I showed her how to stand.
You put it on auto and just let them go.
Pretty much. Yeah, exactly. And I just did all the editing part of it, aspect of it. But I'm just like, if you can angle it this way and angle it that. So I was giving a lesson so I could get a photo of myself playing the drum and the crystal bowls. But it's a big aspect of my business, is sound healing as well. So one of the modalities I have is called Luna Light Healing and Clearing. And I bring in the energy of the moon. And it's
do you
an
do
emotional.
These in the evening?
I do these in person. I work out of the Meta Center, which is right up the street from here. And it's a roughly around 2-hour session. And it's a mixture of sound healing throughout it, energy healing, and crystal healing, all connected into one. That's one aspect of it. I also do getting back into doing events with sound. I had a women's event that I did last year, incorporated sound and meditation and empowerment. And
which I love because you're looking at your
my wand.
Your wand.
Yes, that is an important wand. I earned that. And I went to, that has been, so backstory, it's called Life Activation. And as I said, like I tried to commit suicide. And a year later, I connected with somebody who gave me a life activation. And that life activation kind of like was my really big push to like get my shit together. Excuse me.
Okay, no, it's going to be on YouTube, so
okay, you're allowed to
we're allowed to say. You can say whatever you want. Whatever YouTube does, I don't know. But
so
it could end up in one of my snippets, though.
There
you never know. So.
It really helped me get my stuff together and pushed me to kind of like go towards what it is that my path is necessary. It helped me get there.
Gives you some clarity?
Yeah, it does. It brings a lot of light. So on an energetic level, it's almost like a clearing, and it lights up your DNA. So it really pushes you into that soul awakening, in a sense, of who you really are and what your purpose is. It works differently on everybody else. For me, it kicked my butt.
Sometimes that's what we need.
No, I needed it.
So.
Yes, exactly. Like, okay, are you ready? You want this? Let's go.
I may have to try that one.
Yeah,
especially after yesterday.
It's good. So it's a healing / it's an activation. It really is an activation more than any healing. And I use the wand to activate the energy of the codons of the DNA in a sense.
Interesting. When you use it, when you're a photographer and you're trying to pick pictures for your website or your Instagram or whatever other, there are times I'll see photographers will put up 60 photos from their last photo shoot. But does that really speak to the photographer? You only need is 1 or 2. You don't really need to show 60 of them. I think sometimes that's just to say, oh, look what I can do. Here it is. Put it out there. Yeah. But when a lot of the learning a lot of the learning I've done in the in my industry is that it only takes 1 or 2 really awesome photos to make the impression. You don't need to put up 60 or 70.
Right.
And same with any business. You don't need 100 photos of you holding this in different places. You just need the one. And I like this one because you're connecting with your wand too. So there's this I kind of feel like a mental connection to it, and that's kind of the point of it. So and trying to put that out there and trying to tell that story that this is what's going to happen.
That's right, and I don't have 5 or 4 or 6 of them on my website. I have 1.
Yeah, that's all you need.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when I do my website, you know, you go on the school photography, there's only 4 pictures on there. There's not like 500 kids, because you know, that's a whole nother issue.
Well, yeah, children, you can't have children.
Well, it depends on what they sign.
Yes, right? Exactly. Yes.
But so now that was really great. Thank you so much for sharing all that.
Absolutely.
That was awesome. Yeah. So when I first started doing this on my own, this was right in the middle of the pandemic. I don't even remember. It seems like it was years ago, but technically I started my 4th year in business January 1st, because I incorporated December 2019, and I was going to open February 2020, which never happened.
Of course.
And so literally my first client ever was in the last day of December of 2020. Because it was a whole year. Disney laid us off. Everybody was out of work. So now I'm entering the 4th year of business. So I can't believe it's 4 years already. It's crazy.
Time is just,
So, you know, I had this great, I have all these wild ideas for photo shoots. You know, Christmas, Halloween. I love my Halloween stuff.
Yeah, I love your Halloween stuff too. One of these days I'll get in here.
So that was also the year Encanto came out with
Yes.
Disney. It was like, you know, I hadn't seen it yet, and I went to see the movie. I was like, oh wow, it's pretty cool, and I was on my backdrop, one of the companies I buy my backdrops from, and they had the house with the flowers.
Yeah.
Now technically they can't use the house,
Right.
so
Yes, it has to be a
it's
little
their
different.
version of the
Yes.
house. When I couldn't call it Encanto photo sessions,
Right.
I had to call it like the Magic House photo sessions.
Yes.
You know, because although I suppose technically Encanto is a Spanish word, and
yeah.
you can use it, but not in a copyrighted. You know, with being photographers, we have all these issues all the time.
You can't use the Grinch. You can't use.
Yeah, that was a big one this year, and Universal. And there wasn't Universal going at it was the Seuss family going after people,
Right.
For using the Grinch in all their photo sessions, because you know that's a. So you know, my first really year, I said, I saw the backdrop. I said, I got to do these photos because I love, you know, I like. Don't get me wrong, I'm a Disney phobe. I like Disney, you know.
Yeah.
And so I bought the backdrop and I put the word out. I was looking for a couple of people to model for it, and your friend.
Yes. Megan.
Megan.
Yes.
And her daughter,
Yeah.
and I forget how I met them. I don't know if it was through Rachel or if it was through somebody else.
It might have been through me. Who knows?
And so you and she came with your 2 daughters,
Yes.
and so we just kind of had fun for like a couple of hours doing photos. So I want to show some of those photos, and
we did. We had
Yeah.
my daughter is a huge Encanto fan too, so it was. At that time, she still is. She loves Dolores. Dolores is her favorite.
that's the big one.
No, Dolores is the one that the ears.
Oh,
she can
okay.
hear.
Who's the one with the muscles?
Oh my gosh, I can't think of it right now.
She's my favorite.
She's your favorite.
So I don't know why. I just like, you know, she got the voice and she got the
she's-
strength
yeah.
and yeah. So
Beauty and the Bronx.
It's a powerful woman, you know.
Yeah,
So,
very
but yeah, she's very
powerful.
vulnerable in
Right,
it too at the
exactly.
same time. So.
Yeah, in the end.
Um,
I love this story though. Like it really is such a great, and for you to do that as well is like, my business is Life's Magic, right? So it was like Encanto for me is like an essence of what I teach, right? And in the end of the story, you know, you get the real meaning of Encanto, right? Of the magic, and each one of those characters, if you put them together, like it creates this whole aspect and dynamic of our real life.
yeah.
Right? And it's funny because you can actually, I go deep a lot. So it was one of those movies I went deep and I'm like analyzing these characters.
Don't we all? Like,
I mean,
you know.
I don't know. Some people don't.
Did you see Soul?
Well, we watched it the other night.
And I was like, you know, so I was like, oh, is that where we are before we're born? Because everybody tells you where they go after they die, but where are you before you're born? You know, I was like, ooh, this is deep.
Same
I
place
was
as
like,
where you were after when you die. You're a soul.
You know, so.
Yeah. So my daughter loves Dolores. And I love these photos so much because she was so happy we got to do her hair.
Yeah, and she had a good time. They both had a good time.
Yeah.
And what I loved about it was they came with their outfits.
Yes.
Which I thought was great,
Yes.
and I'm not sure where you got those from, but
Disney.
Disney. Oh, you bought them at Disney?
Well, no, but you bought Disney.
Oh, on Disney.
products.
There
yeah,
you go.
yeah.
And so when I was setting up I said, what am I going to put in there? How do I make this? Well, you'd be surprised that when I got the backdrop in, and I actually did a video on it, unrolling it.
Yeah.
And but then I was like, well, and this is going to be something kind of weird, but I was actually thinking, how can I do these photos, but not offend anybody culturally?
Yeah. That's a hard
And
part.
it was kind of like, okay, whoa. So and I was thinking, I'll get a piñata.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, so then I found some people from the country, and I was like, do they have piñatas? I didn't know if they had piñatas.
Yeah.
And they do.
Yeah.
So I said, so using one would not. So it was really a lot of research into the people who live there. I didn't want to do something and someone go, oh, that never happens there. Like,
Well,
you know,
I mean, unless, the other way is to do it is look at the movie,
Mhm.
right? Take the aspects of the
Right.
movie, right? And what was in it the movie, because they do a lot of research.
They do, yep.
Disney does a lot of research.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Snapshot Stories. I want to thank Keirstin Proud for being our special guest this week for episode number 2. And I really personally want to thank her for opening up and sharing her personal story with us, because it was very inspirational to me. And as a part of the description below, I'm going to include information on the suicide hotline. So please reach out. There are people out there who really want to help you and who want to be your friend and make sure that we are all successful in life. And so also subscribe and leave a comment. If you have questions, please reach out, post it down in the comments. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Snapshot Stories.